The International Newsnet World Report is a national television news show available in more than 30 million homes. We broadcast daily real news the networks won't tell you. We are solely viewer-supported. That means you. You can donate at our website, inworldreport.net. We hope you find the following interview informative and helpful.
The supplemental spending bill proposed by Speaker Nancy Pelosi passed the House of Representatives several hours ago. 8 progressive Democrats voted against it. This bill drove progressives away from what mainstream Democrats claim as a victory, despite the threat of a presidential veto. To find out why, we will look into what the bill doesn't do and how instead it continues to fund the war, among other things. We're joined now by activist and founding member of Progressive Democrats of America, David Swanson. Welcome to INN, David.
Good to be here.
David, the bill gives approximately $100 billion additional funding to Bush and Cheney for their war. Also, it does not prevent an attack on Iran. Let's begin here.
Well, let's begin with the fact that the bill does not limit spending in any way. In fact, it gives Bush and Cheney over $100 billion for the war and pretty much a free hand to do what they want with it, which is likely to include attacking Iran. And as you note, there was a measure in the bill at some time that would have required the president to come to Congress, as incidentally the Constitution requires anyway, before attacking Iran, and they took that out. They left in various requirements that many in the peace movement have a problem with, including enforcement of Iraq's oil law, which requires turning massive profits over to foreign corporations. That is, requiring Bush and Cheney to do exactly what they launched this war in order to do in the first place. The bill has a timeline. It says, at some point next year, depending on what claims the president makes about so-called progress in Iraq, he will be required to end the war. But it does not use the power of the purse to make that happen. It funds the war as long as there is a war. And if it's up to this president, and apparently if it's up to this Congress, that will be forever.
Pelosi included in the bill the right for the president to waive some of the restrictions. How does this settle out?
Well, they included various restrictions, I think that is in the final version. There was still in there a ban on torture. There was also this restriction that Congressman Jack Murtha has made such a big deal about and brought himself to tears on the floor of the House again today, passionately arguing for, that the troops be properly rested and trained and equipped, that no soldier or Marine be kept longer than 365 days in Iraq and so forth. And that's fine, but it's operating in this other world outside of our time and space dimension that I fail to understand, because the Republican Congress passed that restriction in 2003 and Bush threw it out with a signing statement. Now, the only response to a signing statement is impeachment. This is an unprecedented overturning of the Constitution, these signing statements throwing out laws. No president has ever used a signing statement to do such a thing before. And yet, Murtha wants to pass the same restriction again. And just to make sure that the president doesn't have to use a signing statement, he's put in a waiver. The president can simply write a waiver, says, I'm going to ignore this, legally. And yet you have Murtha yelling and bringing himself to tears about passing it. It's a very, very strange situation.
What about the permanent bases? Are permanent bases still going to be allowed in Iraq?
Congress banned the use of fiscal year 2007 money when it passed that defense authorization bill for the construction of permanent bases. And that construction, we know from various reports, goes on unabated. Now, the president, if pressed, might claim they were not permanent. They were just very, very, very long-term or some such sophism. But the fact is the construction goes on, and there is absolutely nothing in this bill that says anything about not building permanent bases in Iraq.
Did progressives put forward any amendments that would have at least addressed the most egregious of these things that just don't make any sense, not only to progressives, but to the average American, in seeing why put together a bill like this that really doesn't have much force behind it?
The progressives and the right-wing Democrats and the Republicans all had amendments they wanted to bring up, and they all wanted to have votes on various sections of the bill on the floor. None of that was permitted. Congresswoman Barbara Lee of California, co-chair of the Progressive Caucus, was the sponsor of an amendment that Congresswoman Maxine Waters and Lynn Woolsey and others, including a freshman from New York, Yvette Clark, were pushing for in the Rules Committee. This was an amendment that would have limited all of the funding to a safe withdrawal of our troops this year. This is the only way you can protect our troops, which is what every single member of Congress on both sides and all sides of this debate claims is their primary motivation. The only way you can protect our troops is to bring them home, yet we couldn't even have a vote on this amendment. Now, it's clear that there were many progressives who wanted to vote yes on that amendment and claim they did the right thing and then turn around and vote yes for this bill. Instead, we didn't get to have that spectacle. We just had a vote on the bill, and we had 14 Democrats vote no, 6 of them clearly coming from the right for the wrong reasons, 8 of them standing up against funding this war.
And David, many groups, including True Majority, Gold Star Families for Peace, Backbone Campaign, Iraq Veterans Against the War, were supporting Congresspeople voting no against this bill. They were opposed to it for many of the same reasons that progressive Democrats of America were. However, Move On endorsed the bill. Now, this is evidence of a growing schism between progressives and leaders. How do you think this is going to play out?
I think that's exactly right. The entire peace movement, United for Peace and Justice, After Downing Street, Democrats.com, Code Pink, Veterans for Peace, Iraq Veterans Against the War, everybody, the military families groups, Military Families Speak Out, Gold Star Families for Peace, on and on and on, everybody was against this bill for the obvious reason that it gives $100 billion to a war that we're against prolonging, that we were against to begin with. And True Majority was one of the groups going along with MoveOn.org and Win Without War in opposing the escalation and sort of pretending that that was the same thing as opposing the war, but refusing to oppose the war. True Majority polled its members. It said to its members, do you want to back Barbara Lee's amendment to fund a withdrawal and get out of this thing, or do you want to back Pelosi's bill, or do you want something else? And overwhelmingly, the members said they wanted Barbara Lee's amendment. So True Majority joined the peace movement and pushed for that. Move On put out a dishonest poll that said, do you want Pelosi's wonderful anti-war bill, or are you not sure about it? Do you want something else? And that's it. No real alternative to end the war. So Move On's members have never been